Think about the last time you were really struggling. Maybe you were overwhelmed with work, or your car broke down, or you were dealing with a health scare. Who did you call? If your immediate answer is nobody, and you simply put your head down and handled it yourself, you probably think that's just a part of your personality. You might even pride yourself on being a lone wolf. But here at MindVeilx, we look at the science of the unseen. Your hyper-independence isn't just a personality trait. It's a survival mechanism your brain built before you even knew you needed it. In the world of the explained self, human behavior only makes sense when you understand the hidden mechanics behind it. If you grew up in a house where your emotional needs were consistently met with silence, neglect, or adult responsibilities, your brain performed a glitch check and realized that the world wasn't a safe place to be vulnerable. You aren't weird for wanting to be alone, and you definitely aren't broken. You are likely using rare neurological tools to protect a part of yourself that was never properly shielded by the adults who are supposed to love you. Today, we're going to hit this topic fast and unmask the lifelong effects of not being loved as a child. We're going to explore why you never ask for help, why you vibe check every person you meet, and why your selective excellence is actually a sign of traumatic intelligence. Welcome to the deep dive. The first and most powerful effect is what we call hyper independent autonomy. If you were raised by Gen X parents or in an environment where you essentially had to raise yourself, you developed 5 specific habits that the average person finds intimidating. You learned early on that asking for help was either useless or dangerous. In your childhood mind, help often came with a hidden price tag or was used as a psychological anchor to control you later. So you stopped asking. This has followed you into adulthood as a brain glitch that makes you feel a genuine sense of panic or physical exhaustion at the thought of depending on someone else. You've mastered the psychology of people who carry everything alone. Think about your workspace or your home. You probably handle every repair, every financial crisis, and every emotional breakdown in total isolation. To the outside world, you look like a powerhouse of discipline and strength. But in reality, you are an external processor who has been forced to keep the processing internal for too long. You aren't too strong, you are just exhausted by a shield you've been carrying since you were 5 years old. You have realized that once you realize nobody cares, you win. But that win often feels like a lonely one. The second lifelong effect is the development of intuitive pattern recognition, which we often call traumatic intelligence. Because your environment was unpredictable or lacked emotional safety, you had to become a walking human lie detector. You pick up on the signs of the unseen in real time, the tonal shifts, the micro expressions, and the hidden intentions behind a person's smile. This is why you often find yourself zoning out or feeling secretly drained by guests. Your brain is performing a high-level data audit on everyone in the room. You are vibe checking them not because you're judgmental, but because your survival depends on it. You see the social mask people wear, and it makes you incredibly socially selective. Have you ever met someone that everyone else thought was perfect, but you felt a deep, instinctive need to stay away? And months later, you were proven right. That isn't a glitch. It's your high bandwidth filter protecting you. You possess a rare radar that sees what others miss, a trait common in deep thinkers who grew up as the observer in a chaotic home. You would rather have few or no friends than allow one fake friend to breach your perimeter. One of the most painful effects is the psychology of people who crave connection but avoid people. It's a biological tug of war. Your human core wants to be loved and understood, but your survival brain sees getting close to someone as a trauma bond waiting to happen. This leads to the psychology of people who avoid getting attached. You might be the person who loses interest in people the moment they start showing genuine care for you. This is because your brain doesn't know how to process free love. To a mind that was never loved as a child, affection feels suspicious. It feels like a hidden danger. You might even replay the same song or retreat to your home for days after a successful social interaction because your brain needs a buffer to recover from the vulnerability. You have mastered the art of being lonely but happy, because solitude is the only place where you don't have to perform or filter your thoughts. You are a black sheep who has turned their isolation into a sanctuary. You aren't antisocial, you are just protecting your peace from a world that you've learned to view as a series of social noises rather than safe harbors. The fourth effect is an obsession with metacognitive auditing, the constant need to check and recheck how you are presenting to the world. If you are the person who rereads your own sent messages or constantly replays conversations in your head to see if you made a social glitch, this is why. Growing up without a stable source of love taught you that you were only worthy when you were perfect, quiet, or helpful. This leads to the psychology of people who always seem fine. You have become a master of the social mask. You can be crumbling on the inside, dealing with a trauma response that is physically shaking your body, and yet you will sit in a meeting and look like the calmest person in the room. This is why you should fear the quietest person in the room. They are often the ones who have gone through too much and have learned to endure life silently. You don't cry in public. You are the psychology of people who cry in private. You don't ask for help. You are the psychology of people who raise themselves. This metacognitive mastery makes you an incredible problem solver and a high IQ deep thinker. But it also means you are often the person whose body is telling you something your mind is ignoring. The final lifelong effect we're covering today is what we call the polymath advantage. When you don't receive love and validation from the outside as a child, your brain is forced to find stimulation and safety on the inside. You become your own best company, your own teacher, and your own biggest critic. This often results in a graveyard of unfinished projects. You have too many interests because your brain is constantly searching for data-rich fuel to distract itself from the emotional vacuum of your past. You don't lack discipline, you have a high learning velocity. Once you solve the puzzle of a new hobby, your brain moves on to the next intellectual challenge. You were built for an M-shaped future, where your diverse skills and rare radar make you a polymath. You choose to be alone not because you're a hermit, but because your internal world is a high-frequency signal that the rest of the world hasn't tuned into yet. You've mastered the psychology of people who choose to be alone, and in that solitude, you've built a mindset that is impossible to manipulate. You have turned your black sheep status into a portfolio career of resilience and rare strength. If you recognize yourself in these glitches and survival mechanisms, I want you to stop feeling guilty for being different. You aren't weird, and you definitely aren't broken. You are a deep thinker who has survived a world that didn't know how to hold you. Your hyper independence, your vibe checks, and your silence are the symptoms of a rare strength that most people will never have to develop. You have learned that walking away from people silently is often the only way to protect your peace, and that stopping explaining yourself is a sign of ultimate metacognitive mastery. You are the psychology of children who grew up too fast, and while that journey was heavy, it has made you the quietest person who sees the most. But I have to ask, which part of this deep dive hit you the hardest? Was it the hyper-independent habits, or the moment you realized your vibe check is actually a survival tool? Tell your story in the comments below. I read as many as I can, because your stories are what make MindVeilx a home for the deep thinkers. If this video made you feel a little less weird and a lot more understood, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's keep unmasking the hidden mechanics of your mind together. Until next time, protect your peace